Welcome to the Bear by 2030 webinar series. This is the fifth installment, the non-catalog form and its many uses. The agenda for today consists of going over what the session is about, going over the non-catalog form that includes the form overview, the types of transactions that can be made on this form, the form layout, and the form workflow. We'll also go over Bear by resources and support. And then lastly, questions and answers. This session is intended for all Bear by users. It is only 30 minutes long, with the first 15 minutes dedicated to going over the non-catalog form, and the last 15 minutes solely dedicated to questions and answers. Now let's get started. The non-catalog form is designed to be used when you need to purchase goods not found in a Bear by catalog. If you are purchasing services, please use the service request form, not the non-catalog form. To review the policy related to purchasing goods, please view the UCOP Material Management Policy, also known as BIS 43. The URL to that policy is listed in front of you. Before we review the types of transactions that can go on a non-catalog form, we do want to talk about the difference between the non-catalog form and the non-catalog item link. Although both the non-catalog form and the non-catalog item perform in the same manner, meaning that both can be used to purchase goods not found on the Bear by catalog, the non-catalog item has certain limitations. You cannot enter any suggested supplier information on the non-catalog link. In other words, if the vendor profile has not been set up in Bear by, you cannot enter any suggested supplier name on this non-catalog link. You'll also be unable to attach any supporting documents via the non-catalog item. You're also unable to enter any blue card tracking information on the non-catalog item. So as you can see, the non-catalog form has additional fields where you can enter a lot more information that you can't on a non-catalog item. This is why we don't recommend using the non-catalog item when needing to purchase goods that are not found on the Bear by catalog. Instead, please use the non-catalog form. The non-catalog form should only be used for needing to purchase tangible goods not found in other Bear by catalogs. That includes office supplies, lab materials, copies, and other goods. This also includes goods that are associated to a contract in Bear by but not found in one of the Bear by catalogs. We'll explain what we mean by this in the next slide. And lastly, when needing to select blue card tracking as the vendor. This will be used when requesting an item to be paid on a blue card, or it's optional to use this form and blue card tracking to track a previous purchase you made on your blue card. We'll go over this blue card tracking section in the next two slides. Now let's go over one of the transaction types that can be placed on the non-catalog form, contract associated goods. So when you need to purchase goods associated to an existing contract in Bear by, you first have to select the supplier so you can then associate the contract to the form. This means that the contract has to already have been entered in Bear by. Contracts are usually entered by strategic sourcing or the buyer directly working on that contract. By selecting the associated contract, the buyer workflow trigger changes. And we'll go over the change when we talk about the workflow of the form. So by correctly associating an existing contract in Bear by to a supplier, this creates opportunity to track contract spend. This helps campus negotiate better contracts as well as capture actual spend data. Now let's go over Blue Card tracking a little bit more. So when selecting Blue Card tracking as a supplier, this means that separate payment will be made on a Blue Card. In other words, payment will not be made through BearBuy. Instead, someone will have to use their Blue Card to purchase this item. So again, the supplier will always be Blue Card tracking. You'll have to enter your desired vendor information within the suggested supplier fields. So what this does is that it doesn't require you to create a new vendor file for this supplier since you're using a Blue Card to pay them. Orders created using this process will not dispatch to the vendor or to BFS. What this means is that the PO will not be sent to the vendor, and this PO will not create an encumbrance on your general ledger. Instead, you'll only see the voucher when the Blue Card purchase has been made outside of BearBuy. So when the requisition is fully approved, that's when the Blue Card holder will place the order directly with the supplier. That can be either via email, via online, or over the phone. Items paid via Blue Card will appear on a separate Blue Card order and in the PO history with an order number similar to the format CC 12345678. The order number can be referenced in the transaction notes in BFS during reconciliation. Blue Card transaction reconciliation in BFS remains the same. So you may have noticed that regular purchase orders start with the BB number. Blue Card orders will start with a CC number, so it's easy to distinguish between regular purchase orders and Blue Card tracking orders. You can view the associated policy, Biz 43, Section 6, at the URL listed in front of you. So now let's look at the non-catalog form layout. So this is how the non-catalog form looks like when you navigate to it in BearBuy. Important information will be included in the left navigation bar of all the forms with sections on when to use the form instructions, and policy guidelines. You must complete all the sections with bolded headers. If any of these sections are left incomplete, the system will auto-return the cart back to the shopper who submitted the cart. An important item to note is that shoppers can enter supplier not found as a supplier in order to get this order to a requisition creator. A requisition creator must enter a valid supplier name in order to process this transaction. If they leave supplier not found as the actual supplier, the system will auto-return this cart back to the shopper who submitted it. You can click on the question mark icons in the upper right-hand corner of each section on the form. It provides you with information to correctly complete the form. It also provides you with a brief explanation on those sections. The non-catalog form also has two different attachment types, internal and external attachment. You should attach documents in the internal section if they are required by the unit, the university policy for purchase, but the vendor does not need to see these documents. Documents you attach as external attachments will be sent to the supplier and are visible to the department. Regardless of which section you attach your documents to, you must always attach a quote or estimate supporting the pricing that you've listed on the form. It is recommended to include the quote or the estimate in the external attachments so the supplier gets a copy of the actual quote. Now let's go over the workflow and the routing for this particular form. So there are two basic triggers for general purchases on this form. If the subtotal is greater than $1,000, this will route to a requisition approver to review and approve. If the subtotal is greater than $5,000, this form will also route to a campus buyer to review and approve. There are also health and safety flags that can be selected on this form. This helps correctly trigger and route specialty approvals. The flags must be manually selected. This helps correctly route controlled substances, toxic gases, hazardous material, and radioactive material to the correct health and safety approvers. For more information on environmental health and safety programs and program requirements, please visit the website listed in front of you. Other workflow and triggers associated to the non-catalog form are contracts and their triggers. So if a contract is associated to a non-catalog form, the routing triggers change. If the subtotal is greater than $1,000, the cart will still route to the requisition approver for review and approval. If the subtotal is greater than $100,000, that's when the cart will also route to a campus buyer to review and approve. This varies from the basic trigger, since now the dollar value associated to requiring a buyer review is no longer $5,000, but instead $100,000. So that concludes the presentation portion of going over the non-catalog form and its many uses. Hopefully this has helped to provide a lot more clarity on what can go on the non-catalog form and when. Now let's go over available Bearby resources and support. The Bearby website is the source for the most up-to-date news, announcements, and training resources. The website address is listed in front of you. We also have a Bearby YouTube channel. Here we post all of our functional demos, which are useful when needing to learn different features of the system. The URL to our Bearby YouTube channel is listed in front of you. If you need more assistance, please contact the help desk. Their phone number, hours of operation, and email address is listed in front of you. Thanks for watching.